All right. Welcome viewers to the first recorded Tellor dev call, I guess, in this format. But yeah, we're just going to give kind of updates on what we're all working on. For me, besides that, we were just talking about formalizing any changes to the next Tellor and talking about what we might do. That was more of a fun conversation. But this week, reaching out, I got to reach out to TracerDAO, Akrem. I owe you. I know you got some data specs, PRs open. I owe you some comments and stuff. I'll definitely get to that. And then, yeah, it should be kind of a nice slow week for all of us. I think not really a whole lot going on, so we're just kind of continuing to finalize some of the things and push people out the door. So you guys can let me know if you need help. Also at 2 today, we're talking to, we have an internal call with a guy from Yearn, if you guys want to show up. He's just going to talk to us about his experience going to a DAO. So if you want to learn about being in a DAO, that'll be.
Who is it from? Yearn?
I don't
Like,
know.
what's their role?
I don't know. I just chatted with him for like an hour at ETH Denver. And it was a super great conversation just about, he was very knowledgeable about the whole thing. And he helps kind of younger employees who, like, you know, whenever like you fire everyone on the team, like you start an LLC and then pay yourself and buy your own health insurance. And it's like, how do you do those things? So it's, yeah, like kind of a US guy who went through that whole process of leaving his traditional job and joining a DAO where he gets paid in Yearn tokens occasionally. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, all right, Josh, you were here first. Nice headband, by the way.
It's actually a t-shirt sleeve that I ripped off and then, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'm wanting to just still set up that TrueBlocks node. I wanted to set it up over the weekend, although I guess it's a good thing just because I guess wanted to get some clarification on how robust we want this thing. You know, like there's like after the initial setup, those choices of being able to do like a Shifra and it command, which is essentially just kind of like getting up and running as quickly as possible, but it's definitely not decentralized. Just wanted to get your guys engaged on how important that is with this particular node setup.
Whereas I mean, it's a front end to show people that it's live, you know, like so the Tellor network. So yeah, like cool. It's if it goes down for an hour, like once a week, like it's not the end of the world.
Okay, but I'll just do the more out of the box setup then, because the Shifra scrape command apparently is, you know, you get to set up everything yourself, but it's like 2 to 3 days just to index the entire blockchain and stuff like that. And I was going to run that over the weekend, but Boulder had another fire here and we had to evacuate everything. So that screwed up my weekend real quick. But good news is we're all safe. And it was, you know, we all kind of overreacted due to the Marshall fires early in the year, but I don't know, better safe than sorry kind of thing.
Nice.
We're getting good at the whole evacuating thing though, so that's fun.
Yeah. All right, so let me know whenever you got TrueBlocks up. We can talk about how to like host that or
okay. Yeah.
Did you ever get on AWS or not yet?
Not on the Tellor account, not yet.
Okay.
With a shot, you should be able to just reset your password. Were you able to, Lauren? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. But yeah, so we'll set that up and then we can host it and figure out how. And then I guess you're working on setting up the front end too, or that's pretty much done because of the boilerplate.
That's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much done. It's just a matter of connecting the two.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know whenever you get that. Or if you get bored because you kick it off a 3-day process of indexing.
Yeah.
If
well,
you hit that, let me know and we can come up with something else for you to do.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Akrem?
Good morning. I'm working on the Algorand contracts. Basically, we're starting scripting and testing this week. So,
okay, and then the GeoOracle stuff's basically done after the data spec, right?
The Geo Oracle, that was my question to you. I don't know what else besides the data specs we need to do because it's pretty. I mean, they have their own SDK already. I don't know. It's a lot to include to Tellor or
Now we'll
PyTellor.
just
I don't know if you want to do that. Yeah, the data specs is done. It just needs to be, I guess, read, understood by you, and then if anything, I can fix.
okay, cool. Yeah, no, that should be good. We can, and then I'll reach out to BizDev and we can get some tweets or something from him. So
Okay.
the GeoOracle thing we can push now. So
I'm ready.
so Spuddy's ready.
Cool.
But thanks, yeah, and then we'll maybe put you on something else here soon. You know, I think the next phase is, you know, the big phase, I guess, for Telliot, you know, as we move into Owen and Lauren talking to them, like, you know, we want to just, I want to make sure that I know, like, over time, we've really been trying to add this disputer piece, but then how do we like slow down and make sure that what we're working with is like quality code that we really like and is well tested. So, you know, I want to make sure that you guys feel like we're giving you guys enough time to do that. So we'll probably give a creme over to you guys as Algorand sort of wraps up here soon and make sure that everybody really likes it. So it should be good. But thanks. Quentin, how's life?
Yeah, life's good. So I've been looking into Reach more research. I put the research on the Google Drive, so you can check that out if you want. And I went through some tutorials to, you know, get familiar with the Reach language. But I noticed Reach is only compatible for 3 chains: Ethereum, Algorand, and Conflux. So
As of now, yeah.
yeah, so is that a problem or do I continue?
No, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, continue. They're working on Cosmos. At least that's what I sat next to their CEO at dinner for 2 hours. So
Alright.
he seemed confident of it. So that should be good.
Yeah.
And then I guess just keep pinging Evmos, see whatever they're like.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So awesome. Tally?
Yeah, I'm prepping the checklist for to get organized for when we go through scripting and function tests. And so finishing function tests on Algorand V2 is the goal for this week. Yeah, and then I just had a concern about the contract before I start doing that. And so we're going to meet after this meeting to talk about that.
Nice.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and then if you just want to stay on afterwards, I'll answer your questions on Krem. If you want to stay on afterwards too, we'll talk Algorand for a few.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Lauren.
I got into the AWS thing. Josh, I just had to reset the password because it said that the account was already set up with my Tellor email. So it should probably be the same situation for you. So I'm gonna get the disputer monitor up on that. Oh, and just let me know what phone numbers we want it to send and what stuff we want it to be, like which chains. Oh shoot. We can have that up and going, and then I can talk to you later today on like whatever we want to do next then once that's all set up.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe you can help Josh out too if he has questions on hosting that database. Basically, he's just hosting it. True. What kind of database is TrueBlocks?
That I don't know yet. Oh, as far as like on my end, as far as like being able to access all that.
Yeah, like just what is it built
Yeah,
on?
that'll just be Postgres then.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, still need to hook all that up. And just for clarification, again, sorry to interrupt real quick, but you said something about like if I'm taking like 2 to 3 days to set this up, you have more work. That's like the scrape command. So just get it up and running real quick, or do the scrape command. Like which one do you want?
Oh, you mean?
Because like the
Yeah,
scrape
I guess
command
we
is
can
like,
just get it up and running because I guess we do. you're questioning whether or not we should validate the actual chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I think we can
Just
trust Infura.
Okay, cool.
It'll be if we don't, might be other issues, but
Trust, but
yeah, that was no, like, so that was like, so like for those of you that don't know what Josh is doing, like running TrueBlocks is like a node on Ethereum. So then you'll have this node, but it's indexed differently. So like it's indexed. I think his main thing is it like indexes by address, and then all the events are indexed as well. So you can access them in a database really nicely. Whereas like a normal node isn't indexed like that. So yeah, it's super good. If you guys, eventually I think we should probably do that like with each employee. We should have them like, you have to go set up an Ethereum node at least once in your life.
oh yeah,
It'll
that'd
be
good.
Yeah, so maybe at some point we're gonna kick you guys and make you guys go do that. It's always a fun learning experience. All right, Lauren, anything else?
No.
Okay, cool. Owen?
I have to get back to Morphware, replied to some
Yep.
feedback on like the query type and whatnot, so just need to go over that with Deshaun. And then also Vlad from Diva Protocol wants other data, so I'll do that at some point. I need to look at the PRs and data specs because I noticed that the query data is different for a few of them, like the format. They're not using the latest, so you need to do that. And then testing, as well as figuring out like if GitHub Actions are running this week. So
They were not running for me yesterday still, so.
they weren't yesterday. Like that's pretty crazy, but you know, just whatever. I guess like maybe I'll look back into that like running GitHub Actions locally thing. But maybe like rent AWS instance to like run it on. That's like faster. I don't know.
Well, you also have your own. So if you log in with your Tellor email, you should be able to reset your password so you can start using your Tellor one.
Yeah. And one thing
Not here,
sorry.
hold on. Anthony's not here, so I'll give his update. We're pretty much up and running in Harmony testnet. What we need to do before we go to mainnet, maybe this week or next, is actually test the multi-sig for voting. So that's what we should get done this week.
You and I can do that. That'll be okay. Also, I want to put somewhere in our docs, whether we do or don't. Right now, we don't enforce padding for the bytes values that we put on chain. So like, I noticed like I was writing some tests for like, it was a sample using Tellor I was doing. Like if you put on like, like the reporter will submit like bytes for 100. Like that's only like a few characters long. But like a uint 256 for 100 would be like really long. Like with 18 decimals, like whenever you're supposed to put it on with 18 decimals. And even do you pad it out to 32 bytes every time? Do we enforce that? Like, let's say you wanted like the old query values, what have 6 decimals? I think the legacy ones, and people are putting them on without padding it out to 32 bytes, which is fine. And right now we're sort of not enforcing that they do. But the reason we need to note it is in your Solidity file when you're parsing from bytes to uint, if you're doing like that really gas efficient method and people don't pad it out, it breaks. So you have to use like, the official like converter way of actually going through it. So we just need to note that at some point. So if people are like, why is this breaking? And it's like, if you're using certain methods of converting from bytes to uint and solidity, it breaks everything if it's not actually 32 bytes long. So if you guys ever run into that, I ran into that. I was confused, but
Yeah,
so
and we should just clearly define, specify what data we're expecting, right? And how it should be encoded.
yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe we should tell people you have to pad it out.
Yeah,
I don't know. So
like the bytes to uint parser we've used on chain seems to work either way, but
like, let's say you
Yeah.
had like somebody wanted something on chain with 0 decimals. You know, would you, and they wanted just like the number 1 put on chain. Should you pad that out with zeros at the beginning?
right.
Should you have to? Or is 0x1 a valid value? It's the same thing, but if you're using some crazy gas efficient assembly code, like, it'll bust if you try and convert 0x1 into your uint. So yeah, so I think just making sure that people know that that's a potential way to break it. So anyway, so all right, that's where we're at. Tim.
That's me. So on Friday, I started working on the Diva payment contract. And so one thing that we're facing is so Diva prediction markets, they each have like collateral that could be really any ERC20 token. And we're taking like, I think it's like 0.5% is allocated to the Oracle. And that could be any amount of money. So that could be $10,000 or that could be $5. So we're only trying to give them a reasonable amount so it doesn't break our game theory and create like a dispute war, right? But so to know how much the collateral is worth and how much to pay their
You need an Oracle.
we need an Oracle, but we already have that reward saying that from Diva, so we're funding. That could just fund them to report for Diva and then report the price of the collateral token. So that's the solution I'm looking at.
Oh yeah,
So
that would actually be really good. So as Tim was explaining, you have this issue with Tellor in that, let's say somebody came and tipped $1 million for the next person who updates the Bitcoin price. The problem is Tim would quickly go and update the Bitcoin price. But let's say, you have to wait for dispute, so it's 5 minutes old. Well, I want that reward. So even though Tim had a valid answer, I'm just going to dispute him anyway, because the $1 million is more than the dispute fee. So I'm going to dispute him anyway and submit it for myself. And basically then Josh is going to see mine and he's going to dispute me. And it's going to lead to this dispute war of valid values of, like that will eventually all be settled out, but just because somebody put in a giant tip, and basically the dispute fee keeps going up. And so the dispute fee would eventually get to be really, really high, or I guess it just goes to the stake amount. So then it would just continually, there would be some weird game theory about who has deeper pockets.
Wouldn't people just have to buy TRB on exchanges continuously to be able to do it?
Right, people would have to keep buying game theory, and then whoever has the deepest pockets wins $1 million. So like, it's like a thing we don't want to happen. Just because, so like we want to make sure that if Diva does blow up in the case, and that 0.5% of the contracts is $10,000 or $20,000, like, which could happen. We want to make sure that like it doesn't lead to these dispute wars going on, to where people are like casually disputing each other to try and win it.
I wonder if the reward should still go to that first submitter if the dispute said they submitted a good value, and that would fix it.
What do you mean?
If like right now, if you get disputed,
Mhm.
you don't get the auto pay reward, no matter what, no matter if the dispute
So you don't get the auto pay, or you do?
No matter if you get disputed, then you definitely don't. You're out of the running for it,
Right.
even if the vote says you were good. And maybe that should be, you should still get the reward if the dispute vote says. You
So we
submitted
should
good
say
value.
you wait for the vote, but we kind of remove that from the contract. So I don't know how we would even do that. You would have to check, is this a disputed value or something?
Yeah.
It would be
yeah, I mean,
messy.
it would be messy. It could fix that very specific case, but maybe that doesn't really matter anyways.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would just lead to like a crap ton of buying of TRP. You know, and then like, and it would be weird because it would be a weird game theory, because like, I would actually be like, even though I knew I'm getting disputed, I'd actually be fine submitting it, because I know I'm gonna get that dispute fee paid right back to me
Oh, right.
after a vote. So like everyone would be racing to dispute, and it would be like a who runs out of money first
Oh, yeah.
sort of game. You know, like, well, we have that problem too. Like if somebody was, let's say you were, you're trying to break the network by mining every value or by disputing every value on Tellor. If you're just gonna try and break Tellor by disputing every value, it actually leads to a faster Tellor. Because if you see somebody trying to dispute every single value, you want to report, because like you get that dispute fee, which is then equal to the stake. So every time you submit something, you basically in 2 days after the vote ends are going to get a stake back. So like every single person would be submitting as many times as they possibly could. So it would be like even harder to break the network,
Yeah.
which is a good quality to have. So it's like either way, you know, like and same with like the $1 million tip, like it doesn't really break Tellor, because like eventually you're gonna get a good value because everybody's just submitting good values.
Mhm.
So it would be interesting.
It would be cool to see.
Yeah.
honestly.
So maybe somebody, we can have some deep pockets, we can play out the game theory. You just have to sort of wait for a little bit of time for people to run out of money, and then tell her to sift through the voting. Okay, Brenda, did we lose everyone yet? All right.
Actually, kind of along these lines I was kind of thinking about when we were deploying that Polygon governance, and you did say, wait, we should think about this dispute fee rising and rising, and there was an attack vector there. So we limited it at the
Stake
equal
amount.
stake amount. Yeah, I was wondering if instead of just having a multiplier of 2, we could just lower that and let it keep rising, but then it just won't rise as much or as quickly. But yeah, I wonder if we want that dispute fee to continue rising, but we just multiply by like 1.1 or.
I think like we figured out it was, the reason that I did it that way was like, if it equals the stake amount, then it's the same fee as just mining every value in that block. So, you know, like what's the cost to mine every value in the block? And right now you could do that and it's just the stake amount. So like, what's the cost to dispute every one there? It's just the stake amount. So like, if you would raise the stake amount past what, if you would raise the dispute fee past what the stake amount is, then it would just push people to mine every value. So, you know, there were like, obviously like there's like some gas limitations as far as like, well, maybe people would probably rather do the dispute because it's like one less function of having to stake and then mine. So like you would save some gas, but theoretically it's like, you know, on Polygon or something, it's going to be exactly the same. So like, you know, if the dispute fee was 1,000 times more than the stake fee, you're just going to mine every value and block it that way, since we only allow one mine value per block.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay. I'll have to think about that some more.
that was at least the game theory I came up with in my head, but happy to critiques on that.
Yeah.
So then it was like, there was like no reason to push it up higher. You know, the fear for me would be like, if the dispute fee gets too high, then like it almost like we run out of funds as a team, you know, or like
Yeah.
the good people run out of funds, and then you sort of get into a bind, which I saw as being more of a risk in terms of that happening. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But ideally, we should try and get some good borrowing markets on TRB, because then it really helps the game theory a lot.
Yeah.
If you're able to borrow TRB for like really cheap, even not really cheap, if you can borrow TRB for 10%, do a dispute and pay it back in 2 days because you know it was a valid dispute, it's a great deal for you.
Mhm.
So I don't know who wants to make a TRB borrowing market, but that would be.
Could even do a flash one, or no, that wouldn't work. Yeah, that would be nice though.
Yeah. So Brenda, anything your end? All right. Well, thank you all for listening. This was a fun time. So yeah, just let us know if you guys need anything. We'll be here all week. So all right.